Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. And this is the day that the Lord has made, and we're here to rejoice and be glad in it. Certainly, I'm excited, and I want to welcome you to the Hope TV. I'm Dewey Smith, and one of the Hope dealers here, and we are so excited to bring you a daily dose of hope. We're excited, we really are, even in times of difficulty, in times of despair and hopelessness. I want you to know there's always a word of hope and a word of inspiration. We need hope because hope is that thing that gives faith a job. Without hope, there's no need of faith. And so I'm excited to bring you a daily dose of hope. And I'm proud and so honored and humbled that God created me to be a hope dealer. If you know somebody who needs a word of hope, won't you invite them and won't you do something? Help us get the word out. Won't you share this link with about 5 people right quick? Help us to expand the Hope TV. We started this platform back in March. Our first program was March 19th, 2020. And from March 19th, 2020 up until today, February 25th, 2021, we've been so thankful. We've been so blessed that we've been able to reach over 100 million people, 100 million views rather of our content. And so we thank God for you and thank God for you. And good to have you with us, Mary Melody Wilson, Pastor Durley. God bless you. Give him our regards. Thank you so much. Thankful to be a part of our prayers are with you. We hope we can serve you in a more excellent way and in the future. So God bless you, Melody, from Facebook. So drop us a line. Let us know the city, the state, and the country from which you're viewing. It will mean the world to us. And welcome everybody from Apple TV, Roku, Twitch, Amazon, YouTube, Facebook, IG Live. Our IG Live family's tuned in now. Welcome IG. I knew folks were able to stream through IG Live on my personal page and our church page. God bless you. We thank God for the Periscope family who's watching now. I appreciate all Periscope people who watch it, and also those who are watching through the various websites. So everybody who's tuned in, thank you for being a part. My prayers are with you. Drop us a line right quick. And if you're watching through a platform that will allow you to subscribe, to like, to comment, or to share, won't you consider doing that? We want to get the word out, and I need you to help us get the word out. If you watch it to a platform, that's it right there. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. That's helpful to us. It helps us to get people involved. And when you subscribe, you can get notifications as when new content is uploaded. And that's important. And every time you like it, God bless you, Troy Head. Every time you like your comments to help our algorithms um, to get the word out more. Your comments, your likes are like virtual amens, and those shares are most important because when you share it, that helps the platform to grow. I mean, you never could have told me in March of last year that we would have had over 100 million views. Did you hear me? 100 million views of our content, and so I'm excited about that. When you hit that share button, you help us to get it out more. So please hit that share button. Hit that share button. Help us to get it out because we want as many people as possible to be blessed by Morning Dew. We got Houston, Texas on. I've got somebody from the 478 tuned in from Macon, Georgia, my hometown. See if we've got Fort Valley, Georgia here with us. What an exciting time. And we thank God for you, and you. We're doing programming. We're doing worship at night. And Lizella, Georgia, London Scott Hall. All right, Middle Georgia. Nothing like Middle Georgia. My Middle Georgia people here tonight. Got Lizella, Fort Valley, and Macon, Georgia, my hometown. There's no place like home. And I thank God for all of you for being a part. God bless you. Emma Cunningham from Frisco, Texas. God bless you. Hope is definitely needed. I concur 100% with you on that, Emma. We need hope. These are some hopeless times and difficult times for many people, and we need hope. And I'm thankful that God always has a word of hope. And I know I was placed on this earth to bring a word of hope and ministry of hope. And that's why I'm here today. I'm excited about that. And my IG family, thank God for them as well. And so good to see Lily Nelson. God bless you, Lily. Good to see you today as well. I appreciate you being a part today. It's a blessing to have you here with us. Now, I want to get started. For Morning Dew, we've been looking at Oakland, California. Okay. All right. Oakland, California. All right. We've been going through of the book of Colossians, and I want to talk about that a little bit. Colossae is was a territory in Asia Minor that Paul was writing to, and it was a very a lot had happened in Colossae. Just to give you a little background, it had gone from a big commercial hub, a place where the economy was solid. They produced a lot of wool there in Colossae. So in the fourth, fifth centuries BC, Colossae had a blossoming economy, etc. It was a significant territory. But by the time Paul and Jesus comes along in the first century, it's taking a downward spiral. I mean, the economy is jacked up. Sounds like what we are in America. Um, it was no longer a travel hub. Paul, we talked last year about Philippi and how it was a significant city. Rome was the citadel of the Caesars. It was a place everybody wanted to visit. Jerusalem was a city of God. So all of those places were huge, major places at the time of the first century. Colossae was totally different. It was just economy was down, not a travel hub, and now they're dealing with false doctrine, a doctrine called Gnosticism, which said that the environment, that air, matter was evil. Good to see Dolores from Westwood, New Jersey. I want to be blessed by the word. All right. I got you. Praise the Lord. We hopefully get some hope today through this broadcast, Dolores Barksdale. So Gnosticism, they were teaching that things were negative, um, that the air, atmosphere, matter was evil. And what happened as a consequence, they inevitably said, because Gnosticism, Gnosticism, they were espousing that, they had this esoteric, this overemphasis on esoteric knowledge. They were smart intellectuals. My mama would have said they were too smart for their own britches. So they were trying to explain things that couldn't be understood, that really, some spiritual things have to be accepted, they can't be explained. And they basically went so far to say that Jesus Christ did not come in the flesh. And that was no virgin birth. Jesus didn't live. So this is what was happening in Colossae. So Paul was writing to them to try to just encourage them to stick with their faith, to make Jesus Christ, to have Jesus as central in faith. They wanted Christ to be. He wanted Christ to be have centrality in terms of faith, not this other foolishness that the Gnostics, not the economy. And so in Colossians 2:18 and Colossians 2 and 18 and 19, he says something that just messed me up, and I want to lift it, and I'm going to finish it today. In the message rendering, he says, "Don't you tolerate people who try to run your life, ordering you to bow and scrape, insisting that you would join their obsession with angels, that you seek out visions." He's talking about these Gnostics now, and he says these folk are a bunch of hot air. He said all these folks are spewing these false doctrine. It's just a bunch of hot air. He said they're just making stuff up. It's hot air. He says it's hot air. That's all they are. They're hot air. They're completely out of touch with the source of life, Christ, who puts us together in one piece, whose very breath and blood flow through us. And he says Jesus is the head and we're the body. He says, so put it back on Christ. We can grow up healthy in God as he nourishes us. So don't get it twisted. We can grow up healthy in God as he nourishes us. Not finances, not Gnosticism, but we can have healthy growth. We can be spiritually healthy. And when I read that, it just hit me because we focus a lot on on physical health. I've talked to you about this for the past 2 weeks. We talk a lot about health care. Thankfully, we're talking a lot more now about emotional health and mental health. Some corporations now have what they call mental health days. I'm so thankful that even during this time of pandemic that we're talking more about emotional and mental health. A lot has happened to us. I don't think we really realize the sister just from New Jersey alluded to people in the houses. Almost like you got to get dressed up to go to war to just go to the grocery store. I put gloves on my hands now when I'm pumping gas. So much has happened. So much is happening. And as a result of this pandemic. And when it's like that, it can mess with your mental health. Parents at home, teachers, we have teachers here going back to school, Cobb County, DeKalb County is getting ready to go back to school. I mean, parents, so much is happening, and when that happens, we have to ask ourselves the question, how is our mental health? So we talk about mental health, physical health. You even got hair care products. So there's a whole how to care for a plant, how to keep a plant from being diseased. How to if you got grass, how to keep your grass from being diseased, whether it's centipede or Bermuda. What do? To make sure your lawn is not diseased. Lawn care. Health care, mental, emotional health. So we hear a lot about that, but when we talk about spiritual health, what is the rubric? What does it mean to be spiritually healthy? And so we gave some signs of spiritual healthiness last week, but I want to deal with the opposite of that. We know what it means we know what some things are that make us physically unhealthy. We know if you don't walk, get out and walk. They recommend try to walk 30 minutes at least 3 days a week. Try to drink 8 glasses of water a day. Um, Avoid fatty foods. you know, avoid sugary drinks and sugar and carbonated things. Please avoid pork and red meat or keep it in moderation. Fried fruit. So we hear a lot about the eat vegetables, eat green, leafy. They have things that you can check your blood and they can tell you what foods are accepted for your blood. So it's a whole lot in that regard, a whole lot in that regard that talks about physical health. But what about spiritual health? We know when we're physically unhealthy, you feel different. Some people have blood pressure problems. They say, I didn't feel good. My blood pressure is rising. When you put on too much pounds, your clothes will tell you, your body will tell you. But what about spiritual unhealthiness? What about that when you're spiritually unhealthy? And so I gave you 5 signs of spiritual unhealthiness Tuesday. I want to give the other 5 today. I want to run through the first 5 right quick, and we give you all 10. Are y'all ready? So I want to go back just by way of review. Um, the first 5 of signs of spiritual unhealthiness. And if you missed Tuesday, go back and check out Tuesday, February 23rd. I gave you the first 5. I don't have time to go through those today because I won't finish the second 5. But if you go back to the archives on Facebook or YouTube, you can see the first 5 signs. Because I really dealt with those. I took my time and dealt with the first 5. I'm just going to touch them today, but I'm going to get into the last 5. Here are 5 signs that we're spiritually unhealthy. Signs of spiritual unhealthiness. 1, fear and anxiety. 2, resentment, anger, and blame. 3, guilt, shame, and remorse. 4, irritability, chronic negativity, and addictive behaviors. Those are some signs. And we went through that thing and I tried to take my time and go through it. And I think it was I think we made pretty good ground, okay? The signs of spiritual unhealthiness. Now, I want to give you a few more today. And I want to give you, what's number 6? Okay, y'all ready? I'm going to give you number 6. The 6th sign of spiritual unhealthiness. All right? Apathy and listlessness. That just, when you're just apathetic, woe is me. No life, just meandering, just kind of melancholy. When you're just apathetic about life and apathetic um, about what is happening. Not a whole lot of joy. Not a whole lot of contentment. Just apathetic. Just when somebody has apathy, um, it's similar to negativity in a lot of ways, but they don't have a whole lot of positivity or expectation, and that's unfortunate when you just kind of lose your hope. And I want to talk about that because it's so important that people understand that that is not the life that God has called us to live. You know what I mean? And I want to make sure we get that because it's so important. Um, when you just don't have any energy, you know, um, just little interest in stuff, you know, really no concern. It's whatever, whatever. You know what I mean? That's kind of your response. How you feeling? Whatever. It don't matter. Don't matter. Don't matter. Don't nothing matter to me no more. Y'all remember that song? Just kind of apathy. Just nothing matter. Nothing, job, whatever. It is what it is. You know. That's how, that kind of mentality. What the children gonna eat? Who cares? Little concern, no. What you gonna do at work? Whatever. I'm just going. How you feel? I'm just here. How the family? Just so it's this whole apathy, little interest, little concern, little desire, just kind of there, not on the log, and when you don't have the interest or the concern or the desire or passion for nothing, you know, that's a very, very difficult thing. You just kind of you go through life sometimes and then you end up apathy means sometimes you just don't have no emotions. You can't even feel it no longer. And that could be the sign of emotional trauma, but it also can be a spiritual issue. Yeah, that you got to make it's the whateverness, just everything is whatever. And no interest, no concern, no zeal, no emotion, just no passion, no sensibility, just don't care. And when you get to that point, that's a real sign that somebody is spiritually unhealthy. And many of us have been there in our lives. Just whatever. You just in a place, in a funk, lost your mojo. That's not just an emotional piece or emotional, uh, a derivative of an emotional issue. That could be a sign of spiritual unhealthiness. And if that's how you feel, I'm just here. You know, you go through life and now let me say this. And one of our therapists and counselors at church, yeah, whatever attitude. Thank you, CC. It's called apathy. No interest, no concern, no feeling, no compassion, no desire, nothing. Um, a lot of times, if you feel that way for a couple of days, it could be just you in a bad mood, in a funk, something happened emotionally. Um, it's not really depression. It's more of melancholy. But if you don't snap out of that thing, and I want to say this, it may be normal. You go through a moment where you just feel like, yeah, you're just tired. Yeah, thank you, Donna. You can just be like, and it could be, and I'm gonna get to that in a moment. But thank you for that, Donna. You're exactly right. Just whatever, nothing. You're just in that place. And I think it may be normal if the therapist said that you can be that way, but when that thing starts to last for weeks, just because you have one or two or three bad days doesn't mean it's depression. It can be melancholy, it can be melancholy, a mood, a spirit, just whatever, a bruise. But when that thing begins to last over 10 to 14 days, that means it's kind of shifted into something else. So, but it's not God's will. It is not the will of God that we just be whatever, no feeling, no emotion. See, Jesus said, the Bible tells us to love the Lord with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul. Your soul, that's what you feel. So if I'm whatever, that means if I love the Lord, all my heart, all my mind, that's my mental, all my soul, right? The soul and the mind, that's the seat of the emotions. That's where my care and concern and feeling comes from. So if that's all messed up, then that means that it can disconnect me from God. I'm just going through the motions. You're right, Donna. And that is a sign of disconnect and that something is wrong spiritually. And I just want us to be very, very in tune. It could be normal that you have a moment like that, or you just go through, sometimes it could be physical exhaustion. It could be physical exhaustion that you're tired. You may need to get rest. You may need to take a day off to chill. Okay? So if you had a moment like that, a weekend like that, 2 days like that, that I would say that's not the time to get alarmed. But if you're going through a season and you've gone 3 to 5 days and you're still there, then we gotta pray our way through that. Everybody may go through a moment where I just don't care. I'm gonna do me, whatever, YOLO. But when that thing begins to linger and you got 3 5 days in that kind of situation, It may be something that you're going through something that's spiritually unhealthy, and you may be spiritually disconnected. I just want to throw that out there for us, because not to judge us, but make us to really think this thing through. Our therapist, Dr. Winfrey, says, if it's less than 2 weeks, 10 days, and you just been feeling like sadness, that's sadness and melancholy. It's not necessarily low grade depression, but when it goes 2 weeks and you haven't shaken that thing yet, then that could be emotional. But I want to say the same thing with this apathy, don't care. You got 3 to 5 days in and you just don't care about nothing. That's a sign of spiritual unhealthiness. All right. Yeah, death in the family, that's normal. That's something, that's trauma. Death, that's a traumatic. That's an experience that has a measurable threshold. You can trace that back to something. Something happened. I got fired. Went through a death. Right. Yesterday I've been feeling kind of low all day. Young man who I grew up mentoring, his daddy was like a friend mentor to me, Pastor Curtis Raines in Macon, Georgia. I watched his son grow up playing baseball, and used to come to the youth convention when I was on the youth convention of Georgia when I was president, do devotion for me, singing for his daddy. His brother and I went to school together. His sister and I went to school together. I would preach for his father. Father would preach for me. He started preaching. I would talk to him and kind of give him advice, pastoring. His dad died 6 years ago. And he's 44 years of age. Just turned 44. Macon, Georgia. Pastor New Pilgrim. His father died. Now he passed away from COVID yesterday. It just shook me. It's just like, Lord, somebody I've known forever. I mean, literally, I've known him. I mean, since he was, I'm talking about over 40 years. You know what I mean? And that blow hits you. It's like, man, I'm still just kind of, that's a cloud over my hometown, Macon. 44, one of our passages. So that death, it hits you, it just kind of shakes you. But that's a traumatic. It's like being in a car. It's like being in a car wreck, right? And your back hurts or your neck hurts. Death, trauma hits you. That's understandable. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not the same thing as apathy or listlessness. Listlessness, apathy is when there's no really traumatic thing that's happened. It's not like you got fired or went through a divorce or death. You just find yourself in a little mood. You're just sick of it. But here's the thing, they say, I'm just over it. Over what? Well, what happened? Well, you really can't name a traumatic incident. It could be everything. It just be stuff. It just added up. And that's apathy. And when apathy happens like that, it could be a sign of spiritual disconnect. So I think 3 to 5 days of, when it's not trauma. Again, death is traumatic, divorce traumatic, being laid off, somebody being sick, health issues. Those are trauma. That's not the same thing as apathy. Okay, so I'll make sure that's clear. All right, let me keep going. So that's number 6. Am I doing all right? Let me give you. Let's go number 7. Y'all ready? Number 7. Here's some physical symptoms. Some physical symptoms. Sometimes here it is. It's deep. Sometimes when we're mentally and emotionally off, it can affect us physically. But sometimes when we're spiritually off, it also can affect us spiritually. Sometimes when you're spiritually off, spiritually not being connected, it can mess up your diet, it can mess up your sleeping pattern, your skin can start look bad. If you feel spiritual unhealthiness, it can manifest itself in physical signs as well. Yeah, that can be some physical signs. Like we know how emotions, when your mind is not right, it can make you not eat. It's like Elijah in 1 Kings 19, up on the tree, he's depressed, wanting to die, couldn't even eat. I ain't had to come say, man, eat, boy. You worry about Jezebel, come on and eat. So we know that sometimes when you're depressed, it's funny how some people, when they get depressed and are stressed out, they can't eat. But at the same time, other people, they get depressed and stressed out. That's all they do is eat. People are different. People handle stress in different ways. Sometimes mental pressure, it can mess you up. Well, man, it just takes your appetite. You lose people. I know people get depressed, they lose weight. I can't even eat. I know people who get depressed, they gain weight because that's all they do. That's all they do is eat. So it can affect you differently when there's a physical, when there's a emotional or mental challenge or some kind of pressure or trauma. But on the opposite end, when there's a spiritual unhealthiness, it also can affect you physically. It can make you tired. It can make you feel lifeless. It can affect your skin. Your hair can fall out. Some people get stressed, their hair can fall out. Emotionally, same stuff can happen physically. Sometimes spiritual unhealthiness. That's why 3 John 2, uh, John told Gaius, beloved, I wish above all that you prosper, be in health even as your soul prosper. So total prosperity was all of it. It's all of it. Prosper, be in health. So it's not just financial prosperity. We look at that, I want you to prosper. But he's just talking about I want your life to be whole. Okay? That's physically, spiritually, and mentally / emotionally. So sometimes there are physical symptoms of spiritual unhealthiness. Let me keep going. Here's another one. Emotional remoteness. Emotional remoteness. What does that mean? Emotional remoteness. It's like when your emotions are not there. It's similar to apathy, but it's different. It's like when you're in a whole other place emotionally. You know what I mean? It's like when when you're way over there. You're just in a remote place. You just by yourself. You know, it's emotional remoteness is when you're trying to figure out what's going on. You know, it's like being out on a remote island. Everybody else is over here, you way over there, disconnected, you know, alone on an island. And that's one of the things the enemy wants to do to us, get us in this isolated place emotionally, you know, where we don't share. Sometimes we can become so insular where we don't let people in. And we lack sometimes when you're emotionally remote, you can lack community. You know, you don't want to talk to your friends. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Brian Ward. Just kind of checked out. That's great. You know, and you're not laughing. You're not checking on people. You're not returning calls. You know, and I know it's difficult even through COVID. We can't celebrate like we want to because we're trying to be healthy. But it's like, you know, you're stuck in the house. But you know, Zoom. You know, we don't want to do Zoom. You know, we're not trying to do a thing. FaceTime. You know, go outside and you know, drive by the house and you sit on your car, I stand in mine, we're talking with distance. Just I'm over here all by myself. You know, thank you. In another word, while in the word, that's good. That's a challenge. And when you're left over there by yourself, let me give you let me give you a scripture right quick on that. Now I'm gonna finish this up. Let me go to number 9. Let me go to number 9. I'm gonna finish this and give you 2 scriptures and let you go on over my time. Number 9, another sign. When you get to that point, you just have to throw your hands up and say, "Father, Amen." Here's another one: melancholy and lack of joy. Melancholy and lack of joy. I mentioned melancholy earlier. Melancholy is the step that leads. Melancholy is the step before depression. Um, it's some people call it low grade depression. You got different levels. You know, they say there are levels to this. Um, Therapists say melancholy is a step. Say, for instance, if you've been going through something that you felt like depression, you know, psychiatrists say and therapists say, you know, if you've been that same way about 14 days, that's when you probably can kind of categorize it as depression. Anything before 14 days, they call it melancholy or sadness, like a sadness or you know a little funk, right? Melancholy, and but it also can lead to a lack of joy, joylessness, listlessness. I'm just here. Joylessness. That's just nothing, man. And you know when you don't have joy, you don't have strength. So yeah, so melancholy is the steps, and again, it's not based on trauma. I told you trauma that's different. Trauma can be death, divorce, sickness, you know, laid off your job, something happened with a child, you know, relationship broke up. That's trauma. So that's not what I'm talking about. Trauma is different. It's not trauma. Melancholy, apathy. That's not when it's trauma. You can understand. You can point to this happened. Why is my back hurt? I was in a car wreck. You know, I was talking to a young man the other day. He used to cut my hair, and he was walking kind of slow. And I had dreamt about him and him getting married some weeks earlier. And I reached out to him, and I saw him. He was walking slow. What happened? fell for ladder and broke his ribs. Well, his ribs are hurt. He's moving slow because he broke his ribs. Trauma. So I want us to be clear that when trauma happens, the normal result of being hit by something that's traumatic emotionally is going to be some pain. But melancholy and apathy, I really can't trace it. It's just I just in a funk. Nothing really significant happened. I'm just in a little funk. Okay, lack of joy. Go number 10. Give me number 10. All right. One more, and this is soul loss. This is number 10. Soul loss. Can you put that on there for me? That's when I'm just in my soul. I'm just kind of lost in my soul, and that's even heavier. When it's just man. It's just I'm just kind of I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss. My soul, my emotions. I'm just gone. I'm just gone, man. It's just like I go to work and and here's the thing: we can smile and we know how to, we not to, we know how we can turn the light on and press the button and the remote would come out the bag. You know, many of us know how to be life of the party. We know how to be on. We on. We on. You know, and we just play the part. People look at us to bring the joy. We know how to go and do it. Switch it on. And as soon as we leave, man, you get by yourself and the emptiness and just how life has dealt you a hand. It's funny how Robin Williams, I don't know if y'all, I'm telling my age here, Robin Williams, Morgan Mendel, I'm going back here, one of the most gifted actors, Miss Doubtfire. Robin Williams was one of the most humorous and funny. He was hilarious, right? Robin Williams a few years ago took his life. And here's what got me about that. The man who made everybody else laugh was going through so much depression himself, and he was sad. And I discovered a lot about people who bring joy to people. A lot of people who bring joy to people themselves struggle when they're all alone. And it made me ask the question. When you go to the clowns, when you go to the circus and see the clowns and entertainers, where does the clown go when the clown needs to smile? Who puts a smile on the clown's face? And sometimes you have completely soul lost, being there for everybody else, but your soul itself is lost. Let me give you a scripture right quick on this, and I hope that's blessed somebody. Let me give you a scripture right quick. Psalm 51. I'm gonna give you this one. Psalm 51. I'm gonna give you this scripture. I'm gonna let you go. Psalm 51. Make it sense. Listen what David says, because a lot of things I just told you, you can find them in the scripture. Look what David says. He says, "Have mercy upon me, O God." This is after David has gone through something traumatic. David has sinned. So this is not just melancholy, but he's spiritually unhealthy. David has killed a man, took that man's wife, um, and killed a man. Uriah took the man's wife, got the man's wife pregnant, and the prophet Nathan comes to remind him, "Man, you're wrong." Look what David says, because he knows. He says, "Have mercy upon me, O God, according to thy loving kindness, according to the multitude of thy tender mercies. Blot out my transgressions, wash me thoroughly from mine iniquity, and cleanse me from my sin. For I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me." Verse 4, look what he says in verse 4. He says, "Against thee and thee only have I sinned and done this evil in thy sight, that thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when thou judgest. Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. Behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part thou shalt make me to know wisdom." Verse 7, look what he says. I'm almost finished. He says in verse number 7, he says, next verse, please. He says, "Purge me with hyssop. Listen, I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow." Now listen to this right quick. Listen to this, y'all. "Make me to hear joy and gladness." Y'all see that? Make me to hear joy and gladness. Why is he saying make me to hear joy and gladness? He said, because right now I don't hear it. He says, Lord, I want to hear joy and gladness again. which means I'm stuck in melancholy and sadness. I lost it, my soul. I can't feel in my soul. He said that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. So not only I can't hear joy and gladness, but now I feel like my bones have been broken. He said, do me a favor, hide thy face from my sins and blot out all my iniquities. He just totally disconnected, right? Totally disconnected. Next verse. He says, create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew within me a right spirit. He said, my spirit just ain't right. I'm off. I'm off. He said, cast me not away from thy presence and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. Then what he said? He said, restore unto me the joy of thy salvation. He says, restore unto me the joy. You know what he's saying? He's saying, I lost it. So you don't have to restore something. See, people in Texas who didn't have power, they're waiting for their power to be restored. The prefix re means to do again. He says, restore, give it back. I had it, but I don't have it no more. My joy is gone. I did something sinful. I'm in an experience, and I completely lost my joy. And Lord, I want you to reconnect me back to my joy. And I want to share these things with you because I think they're so powerful that you and I can look at our lives and say, you know what, I've really kind of disconnected. You know, I've been lifeless. I've been listless. Go to John chapter 4 right quick. John 4:17. John 4:17. We get ourselves in a cycle, right? Let me give you this other one. Jesus meets a woman at the well, right? And he says, I want you to go call your husband. She's a Samaritan woman. He's a Jew, right? They have no dealings with each other. Y'all right. David was honest. Make me over, oh God. He says, so Jesus is he's trying to bring this woman redemption. He said, go call your husband. The woman says, I have no husband. He said, you're right. Thou hast well said, I have no husband. Thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast is not thy husband. He said, yeah, you're right. You've had 5, and you with one that's not yours. He says, you're just going from one thing to the next thing. Addictive behaviors. You're in a pattern. You're in a cycle. And this, it just keeps, you're going through something. You've lost something along the way. She said, yeah, I perceive you a prophet. And I don't know if you can put the next verse, but what goes on, but she said, you must be a prophet. Here's the fun thing. And then, you're right, reconnect me, Lord. And then she said, you must be a prophet. How you know I've had 5 husbands? I'm with one that's not mine. She didn't know who she was talking to. And in the very next verse, she said, well, tell me what we're supposed to worship. In Jerusalem, I'm a Samaritan. My people say we worship Mount Gerizim. Your people say we worship it. Jews say Jerusalem. My folks say Mount Gerizim in the mountain. He said, that's the problem, woman. You have relegated God to the mountains. You think the mountains are the only place you can meet God. He said, no, you got it wrong. It ain't about Jerusalem. He said, you got a spiritual issue because you leave God in the mountains. You don't take God home with you. He said, let me tell you something. It's not about Jerusalem or Mount Gerizim. It's not about the Son. He said, God is a spirit. And they that worship him must worship him. He had to change her knowledge because she was off spiritually. She thought God could only be worshipped in the mountains. She thought, so when I go to the mountains to meet God, but I can leave him in the mountains, and when I go home, I can do what I want to do. She didn't invite God into her relationship with men because she left God in the mountains. She wasn't motivated, in her money and her marriages by God because she only met him in the mountains. She didn't invite God. She compartmentalized God. She left God out there and then invited him in here. And as a result, she's lost her soul. She's in addictive behavior. She come through one relationship to the next. She keep going, never allow herself time to heal. Something is missing. He said, I'm going to give you some living water. And so when we leave God in the mountains and we compartmentalize our lives like that, we leave God in the mountains and don't invite God to be part of what we do, that's the consequence. One more scripture, I'm gonna close. First Kings, I'm over my time anyway. We're gonna finish this so I gotta do it next week. First Kings 19. First Kings 19, I'm finished. This is the story of Elijah. And this is after Elijah has defeated the 450 prophets of Baal. I mean, he's been powerful. He called down fire from heaven, man. I mean, just bold. And so what happens, the king tells his wife, King Ahab tells Jezebel what Elijah had done. Oh, Elijah had killed all the prophets with a sword. Oh, he showed out, prophet of God. Then Jezebel, oh wicked queen, sends a message to Elijah saying, so let the gods do to me, and also if I not make thy life as one of them by tomorrow. See, I'll tell you what. She said, bro, since you killed the prophets of Baal and my family worship Baal, listen, this time tomorrow, the God's gonna do, I'm coming to get you. If I don't get you in 24 hours, if I don't kill you in 24 hours, may the gods do to me the same thing you just did to those prophets of Baal. See, I'm gonna get you in 24 hours. I'm coming to get you. I'm coming to kill you. I'm coming. Now he's just called out fire. He resurrected a little boy in 1 Kings 17. But now one woman, when he hears it, says verse number 3, when he saw that he arose and went for his life, came to Beersheba, which belonged to Judah, and left his servant there. Look at verse number 4. I'm almost finished. I'm talking about soul loss. Verse 4. Go to the next verse. And he went a day's journey and came down and sat under a juniper tree. And he requested that he might die. He wanted to die, said, it's enough now, Lord. Take away my life. Elijah is so upset about what Jezebel has said. Now he want to die. Wait a minute, bro. God just fed you by the brook of Cherry with water and by the ravens. Bro, he sent you to Zarephath, a widow woman cooked for you. You told her to make my cake first, and she would never run out. And God did the miracle. He fed you and kept feeding her family in her family. Her son died. You went and stretched yourself over him 3 times, and he resurrected. And that's 1 Kings 17. 1 Kings 18, you went up on Mount Carmel, called down fire, you defeated the 450 prophets of Baal. The last 2 chapters of your life have been nothing but powerful. But now you let one woman, God has shown his wonders, you let one woman have you wanting to die. How do you let one situation make you want to die? One situation. And now it's even affected it's not even affected his appetite. In verse number 5, he lay, and as he lay under a juniper tree and slept, an angel came and touched him and said, arise and eat. He wasn't even eating. And again, he's going through something that's made him spiritually unhealthy. He's forgotten about the provisions of God. Elijah should have just looked back on the first 2 chapters, but maybe he's tired. I don't know what's going on with him. He's made Jezebel bigger than Jehovah. And we make people and circumstances bigger than God. We end up with our souls being lost and being spiritually unhealthy. He wants to die on a juniper tree. Lord, just kill me now. Kill you for what? Because of what she said? You're going to let one woman, you're going to let what one person said to you make you want to die? And how many of us have wanted to die over one situation? One mistake, one sin, one relationship, one job, one marriage. We let one thing put us in a place where we want to die. We forget about all the things God has done in previous chapters. Don't you overemphasize that one thing so much that it makes you apathetic, your soul is lost, you're listless, lifeless, joyless. These are signs of spiritual unhealthiness. I hope you got something out of this, and I hope all of us look at ourselves and say, Lord, help us to be spiritually healthy. Help us to examine ourselves. And if there's anything in us, that's right, he's the same God. If there's anything in us that has made Jezebel or Jim or Junior bigger than Jehovah, then maybe that's a sign of spiritual unhealthiness. You know, don't get me wrong. We can be hurt emotionally when things happen. When you're going through a trauma, you can't be hurt. But is it spiritual unhealthiness? Lord, may you walk in spiritual health. Lord, may you show us when we are on our way to spiritual things that are unhealthy for us spiritually. Lord, would you remove anything that's not good for our spiritual health? Would you build us spiritually? Stir up the gift within us. Would you renew our strength? Let us run and not be weary. Let us walk in our faith. May we be spiritually healthy today in everything we do. Don't lose your joy. Don't lose your song. Create within us clean hearts, O God, and renew within us a right spirit. And take not that spirit from us. Restore unto us the joy of thy salvation. My friends, you've been watching Morning Dew. Be spiritually healthy today and walk in peace and knowing that God will take care of you. Until next time, remember this. If you will be good to God, then God will be good to you. Peace.
What you're looking for, you can find it here on the whole TV. What you're looking for, what you're looking for.
What's up, House of Hope fam? Mr. Flavor King here, and welcome back to another edition of Cooking with Flavor KL. Today, I have an all-American superhero of a breakfast plan for you. I'm talking about those soft, over medium eggs, those fluffy pancakes, that thick challah bread French toast, and those crunchy, and I mean crunchy salmon croquettes. Man, this breakfast is gonna be so good, it's gonna make your tongue slap your brain. You got those pots? Now let's go. So these are my ingredients for the salmon croquettes. I'm gonna use some pink Himalayan salt, some black pepper, some garlic salt, a little bit of accent, Old Bay, and I have 4 cans of black top pink tuna. I'm gonna cut or use about half of this onion, half the bell pepper, two stalks of the scallions, some cornmeal, all-purpose flour, and 4 large eggs. I'm gonna use it's gonna be 1 egg per can, okay? That's general rule. When I come back, we're gonna dice up the onions and bell peppers. We're gonna pick our salmon, because you know it have bones in it, got the bloodline in it. Take that skin off, drain the liquid 95%. So you know that's what we're gonna be working with. When I come back, all of that stuff will be taken care of. Okay guys, so listen. So this is my salmon. As you see, it has a lot of brine in it. I'm gonna pour that off. I'll reserve a little bit, but you're not gonna need all of that. So I'll pour this off. And then what you wanna do then is you wanna just dump your salmon out. And now in there, they're gonna have some bones. Some folk eat the bones. I don't eat the bones. I don't want to eat the skin. I just want all salmon. So I take that stuff off. I take that little bloodline off. You see that little gray area? I mean that little red area, the bloodline. I take all that off. Right here, you can see it has a little spine in there right there. I take all that off. Because I don't want those in there when I'm eating the salmon. I just want to have all of that meat. These smaller bones, they'll disintegrate in while you're cooking it, but I still try to get them all out. So you want to get all of that stuff off of there. Now some folk eat it with the bones in there and the skin and everything else. You know, if you like that, that's fine. You can do that, but I try to just get as much of that off as possible and go with the clean meat. Okay, and you know, once we come back, I'll do the other 4 cans and I'll dice up my vegetables and we'll be ready to start cooking. Okay, so we have our scallions, onions, and bell peppers all diced up. We're gonna add those to our salmon. We're also gonna add the 4 eggs. We're gonna add a half a cup of flour and a quarter cup of flour and a half a cup of cornmeal. Then we're gonna add our 4 eggs. We'll mix that up. Add in our cornmeal. And our flour. Oops. I'm adding in about half of each one of those. I eyeball it. You know, you want to get it to a nice kind of thick consistency, but not overly thick. Okay. Yeah, put some more corn flour, more cornmeal in there. Now, what that cornmeal does, that's some self-rising cornmeal, so that's gonna rise up some. But also that flour's in there to help keep it together. It helps when we form our patties so they don't fall apart. So, you know, that's the consistency you're looking for right there. You hear the moisture, but it's not overly moist, then that's about it right there. So now we're gonna add our seasoning. We got it to the right consistency. You know, there's gonna be seasoned to taste. So I'll say I'm doing about a half a teaspoon of each one of my seasonings. Half a teaspoon of black pepper, of garlic salt, of our Old Bay seasoning, of our accent. We won't put that much in there. And we'll do a pinch of our Himalayan sea salt. If you don't have Himalayan sea salt, you can use the regular iodized salt. Get those seasonings mixed in. You don't want no bland croquettes. You go in there with your grits. Okay, so that's gonna be good to go right now. So I'm gonna, okay, so we got our fire, we got our heat on about a medium high. And what you wanna do, I usually do a little tester. So, you know, I just take a little piece off, just put it in there, see how the seasoning is on it. As you can see, we put it in there, it didn't crack up or fall apart. That lets us know we got the right amount of, the right mixture of cornmeal and flour. And we're gonna test that one out to make sure it's good, and then we'll keep frying. Okay, so now what you wanna do is, you know, I like mine golden brown, I like them crunchy. I like them a little probably past golden brown, but I like the crunch on it. I want it to still be done in the center. You wanna let these cook probably about 2 minutes per side. Where you can get the maximum crunch off it to cook through. So we're gonna let those cook, like I said, 2.5 minutes per side. Okay, so now that's about 2.5 minutes on that side. So you wanna flip it over. And that's what you're looking for. You got a nice outer crust. And you let the other side cook for 2.5 minutes. So we're gonna taste that one and see where our seasoning flavor is at, where our seasoning level is. And each person is gonna have a different flavor profile. So you gotta taste it and then keep seasoning. If it needs more pepper or more Old Bay or more salt, you do those to taste so you get the right flavor in it. And then that's gonna be cooked all the way through just like that. So another 2 minutes and this will be ready to taste it. Okay, so we got the taster out. We got our tester out. Hot. Nice golden brown, done throughout. Flavor's good, nice crunch. I think that's good. I'm gonna let my camera lady try that out. Try it out.
It's pretty good.
You saying that on camera? Okay, so we're gonna put these in. Get your thing out there, dude. You're probably gonna get about eight of these in the pan. All right, so we placed these in there, and I placed them in there clockwise, so I can remember, which ones need to stay in there longer. So that's how I set up my pan. I'm touching that. My hand not in the grease. I'm actually on the top of the uncooked portion of the croquette. So still not burning myself. But that's what we're looking for right there. Outstanding. Two and a half minutes per side. So keep an eye on it. I'm cooking on a medium-high heat. More closely to medium, but that's what you want to do. You want to keep your eyeballs on it and make sure you don't burn it. But I do want them a little past golden brown. Salmon croquettes are coming out of the grease right now. Nice golden, nice brown color on them. It's gonna be some good eats. Now you can eat these with rice. You can eat them with grits. Get some biscuits. But I'm going with just the toast and grits and salmon coat and some eggs I'll make. Some toast. And that's it. Guys, if you're new to my channel and you like the content that you saw, go ahead and like, subscribe, share these videos so everybody can taste the cooking with flavor experience. Man, look, I'm not gonna tell you wrong. I promise you. Thanks for watching, thanks for your time, and don't forget to like and subscribe, okay? The comments and descriptions will be down in the below. All right? So let me know what you like with your croquettes.
How do we know when we're listening to someone who's an idiot juxtaposed to someone who has actually done the stuff they're teaching?
You definitely have a lot of people out there who are talking and talking and talking. So you can double check their work. If you're seeing that they are saying like the sky is blue, but all these other things are saying the sky is red, all right, you might need to start to follow somebody else most likely. So you can Google what is a stock, what is a REIT, what are some good stocks to invest in, what's an index fund, so on and so on. I always think that's the best place to start.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
The decisions that you make have to make sense toward the end goal. You have to be okay talking about yourself, selling yourself, being your brand, to expose what the gift is that God has put in you so that other people know about it. I knew that it was something that I wanted to offer to people who were also dreaming or trying to be entrepreneurs and things of that sort, who just didn't know how to get started.
A pat of butter in a saucepan on low heat. About to crack my one egg. Release it slowly into the pan. Now what you want to do right now is just watch your egg. You want to see the white start to form around there. If you get the brown around the edges, that means your pan is up too high. So you just basically lift it up off the heat so you can slow down that cooking. But right now, this is doing right what I needed to do. What you're gonna need, and this is gonna be a no flip egg white, okay? We're not gonna flip it because that's where all of the headaches come from when your yolk go and take a dive. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let this cook all the way through, and then once we got it all white, we're gonna add a few tablespoons of water, lower the heat some more, cover it and let it steam, and then you'll get that white layer over the top. Then we'll hit it with some salt and pepper, and we'll be good to go. If you're looking for those perfect eggs, you gotta just make sure you watch your temperature. That's the big thing about the eggs. If you let them cook too long, they'll start turning brown, and they'll be overcooked. So right now, this would be about where you would be wanting to flip, but we're not gonna do that. What we'll do now is add a little salt and pepper. A little salt and pepper to the egg. And then we'll add a little teaspoon of water. A little bit of water so it can steam that top, okay? I'll cut that down a little bit more. The right top. And you can see that the egg white is starting to come up that yolk and starting to rise up over it. And look, nobody's never gonna be able to tell you didn't flip this egg. You're gonna get that covering just like you would have gotten if you had flipped it over. So it's coming along good, just like it should. Now it's cooking that egg white in the middle, cooking that yolk, it's gonna have that perfect consistency. And when you cut it, it's gonna just ooze out over your toast or on your plate or however you like to eat it. But you can see that egg white is starting to crawl up over that egg yolk. You can lift it up off the heat. It's still enough heat and transferred heat on the pan that it's still cooking it, where you don't get the brown edges around your egg whites, okay? But it's cooking beautiful. Almost there. And as you can see, it's starting to cover up real nice. It's starting to get that little film over there. I think we got about 30 seconds. Okay, so we'll cut that off. Let it sit for about 20 more seconds. And this is done. Beautiful egg. You see it? That's a beautiful egg right there. Beautiful, beautiful egg. Yes. Y'all see that? A thing of beauty. Okay, guys, here's the moment of truth. Let's see if when we cut this egg, we get that nice run from the yolk. Oh my God, beautiful. You see it? That's butter. Yeah, that's it. That's the money shot right there. Oh yeah. Today we're cooking pancakes, my favorite breakfast treat. So what we have here, we're cooking from scratch. We don't want to get the bacon where you just add water and do it. You know, these homemade pancakes are going to give you so much flavor, and they're going to be delicious. What we have here are dry ingredients. We have 1 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. We have 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 3 tablespoons of sugar, 1 1/2 cups of buttermilk, 1 egg, and 2 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter. So what we'll do is incorporate our dry ingredients first. So we have our all-purpose flour, baking soda and salt, and sugar. And what we'll do, we'll combine all of that up. I know you can use a hand mixer if you want to, but you know what, my grandparents, your grandparents, I'm sure they used a whisk long before they had an electric mixer. So once that's incorporated, we'll add the buttermilk, the egg, minus the shells, and the 2 tablespoons of milk, and then we'll whisk that. Whisk that together. We'll do this until it's smooth, about a minute and a half. It'll be okay to have some lumps in it, but as we want it pretty smooth. All right, now that's your pancake batter right there. It's gonna probably yield you about 15 or 20 pancakes, depending on the size. But just some general regular size pancakes, probably get about 15 to 20 pancakes. When we come back, we'll put those on the grill and you'll see how they rise. Talk to you later. All right, so you get, like I said, your 1 scoop of pancake batter into your hot griddle. Hear that sizzle? That's what you want to hear. It's a cooking process going on. Like I said, you get about a minute per side, minute and a half per side on a nice low, even temperature. Get a nice golden brown pancake. You know, you're talking about IHOP who? This is you cooking from home. Quality pancakes. Got my bacon in the oven. You guys didn't see that, but did that off screen. So as you see, it's starting to cook. You can see the bubbles will be an indicator that the pancake is cooking on the other side, and those bubbles are releasing the air on the other side. Okay, right now we're at about 45 seconds on that side. Let's check it. See, not quite ready to flip yet. Like I said, another 30 more seconds. It'll be ready to flip. It'll release from the pan, and you have a nice golden brown pancake. I love pancakes. My favorite breakfast item. Don't worry if you get that splash off from the sides. Don't worry about that. It'll cook. It's still pancake. And you take that out of there. That's all. Take it out. Have your paper towel on hand and just clean out the spatula. And there you go. It's all right. That's your high quality pancake right there. Nice and fluffy. While it's cooking on the other side, go ahead and slice your piece of butter, have it on there. If you want to get special, you can soften up the butter, whip it, and then have it in the refrigerator. But I just had cold regular butter. So that's how that cooks. Just a little bit of time. Pancake cake down.
Cooking bacon.
Okay, great. Where's bacon come from, you know?
For pig.
From a pig, great. Pig there, okay. Great job. You're doing a great job putting that bacon on the pan. I bet it's gonna be delicious. One at a time, one piece at a time.
Okay.
Okay, pull that up. Great. You're doing a great job, Empress.
Just one more left.
Now we're gonna go around, we're gonna put all that on there. Yeah, keep going. And I'm telling you, your guests are gonna love them. They're gonna be delicious, okay? What we have over here, we had our bacon in the oven. We cooked that on 375 for about 25 minutes, or until it's crispy, however you like it. You know, some people like it crispy, some people like it a little undercooked, but that's our bacon. Short stack of pancakes. And there go your breakfast. Easy breakfast right now.
I have went through the trenches to understanding of dancing with darkness, to realizing that I had to be broken to be a light. Outside of the titles, outside of the responsibilities, what I owe God is everything. And so I speak from a solid foundation of knowing that I'm not my past circumstances, I'm not my past situations, I'm not my trauma, but I am who He's called me to be.
I work in the #1 cable news network in the #1 market in the nation, and I'm the only full-time African-American woman in my newsroom. Being inspired is really saying that at the end of the day, no matter what's happening in my world or around me, it's bigger than me.
I use challah bread. You can use brioche or Texas toast. Those are really the ones I would recommend if you're going to do French toast. Here we have a half a cup of Bailey's Irish cream and a half a cup of Kahlua, 2 cups of heavy whipping cream, 3 eggs, 2 teaspoons of sugar, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of nutmeg, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and 1 teaspoon of almond extract, and a pinch of salt that's in there. So those are your ingredients that you'll need to make this French toast. So we're gonna crack the 3 eggs. Minus the shells. Once you got those in, we'll go ahead and whisk those up. If you don't want it to be slimy and eggy, you don't want that, but you know, you just want the egg to be on there to coat. If you don't have a whisk, you can use a fork or a spoon. Any of those things will work. Okay, so that's whisked up. We'll go ahead and add our heavy whipping cream. Our Kahlua and Bailey's. Cinnamon, correction, vanilla. Almond extract. Whisk that up. And then we'll add our dry ingredients, the nutmeg, cinnamon, sugar, pinch of salt. I'm gonna tell you, when you taste this French toast, man, you're gonna have a mouthgasm. It's gonna be so flavorful, so delicious. You're gonna taste all of that cinnamon, the Baileys and the Kahlua. The sugar's gonna put a nice little crispy coat on there. gonna be unbelievable. Like a restaurant quality French toast. Tipsy French toast. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and let this sit for about 5 minutes. I'll slice the bread. I like to have the bread about an inch to an inch and a quarter thick, so you can let it sit in that mixture and it can soak it up without really breaking the bread apart and being hard to handle. Now that mixture right there probably makes about 8 slices of French toast. So that'll probably be good for that. So we're gonna let that mixture sit for 5 minutes, and then we'll come back, soak our French toast, and hit it in the pan. Okay, so the mixture is set for about 5 minutes. You wanna soak the bread in the mixture. Make sure you coat both sides. You can leave it in there for a little while, let it absorb some of that mixture, because that's a real thick bread and it can handle that mixture. All right, let the excess run off, and we'll sit it in the pan, and we'll move over to our pan in a second. Man, the mixture smells real good. You can smell that Bailey's and Kahlua. You can see all of the cinnamon and nutmeg and stuff in the mix. Those flavors are really showing up. All right, guys, I put about a half a teaspoon of olive oil in there, mixing in some butter, and I'm gonna grab my French toast, and we're gonna go ahead and get to cooking. So I've soaked the bread in our mixture. And then you cook that bread till it get a nice little toast on each side, about 2 minutes on each side, 2.5 minutes. That butter just gonna give it more flavor. Okay guys, this has been about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. So we flip it over. And you see it got a nice little golden brown finish on that other side there. Yeah, that's what we're looking for right there. That's what we're looking for. We'll like I said, these are cooked 2.5 minutes on each side. Resist the urge to pat them down. Don't pat them, just leave them be, let them cook. Okay guys, the French toast is done. Right now, if you got a little sugar tooth, we can go ahead and top this with some confection sugar. Just to add a little bit more, little pizzazz to it. But there you go, there go your French toast. How you like it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, this good right here. This better. I recommend this to everybody. Everybody should try this.
There you go. Ooh, wow, fam, that looks fantastic. That's the perfect way to start your day. Is there any reason we should be wondering why the break fast is the most important meal of the day? Next time, just do what you do. But whatever you do, just make it with flavor. Peace.
What you're looking for, you can find it